Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new video. And today I'm going to be talking about the BBC, the British Bias Corporation. And before I start, I just want to thank all my supporters and everyone that's been subscribing, commenting, liking my posts, and I just want to ask you to continue what you're doing. I really appreciate it. And those who have been donating and joining my Patreon, I want to give a special shout out to you guys. Without you, these videos will not be possible. So without further ado, let me get on with the show. So the BBC has got a bit of a reputation around the world for spreading fake news, being biased, and not only that, the programming is just woke trash. I also want to let you know, guys, that a lot of people may not realise, but the British people are being forced to pay for the BBC. When I say forced, we're talking about £150 a year, forced to pay for the BBC out of their own pockets. And if you don't pay, do you know what happens to you? You get a criminal record and you go to jail. That's what happens to you. And the most of the people that do get a criminal record and do go to jail are old age pensioners, because the pensioners are the ones that watch the BBC. And the issue is, guys, old age pensioners and also women as well, they are mostly targeted by the BBC because they find them easy targets to give them criminal records or send them to jail, because a lot of old age pensioners, they're retired, so they're at home, so you get all these inspectors knocking on the door and harassing them and scaring them, and they get evidence against them because they're at home. A lot of other people will be at work during the day, so these inspectors, they come during the day, and you get these old age pensioners who are at home, or sometimes you get single mums who are at home who are kind of not working, and they get harassed, and these old people get harassed, and next thing they know, they get these letters by the court saying you need to arrive in court. If you don't, you will go to jail. And even if you do arrive in court and they have evidence against you that you've been watching BBC without a license, you know, they'll send you to prison. You know, they'll give you a fine, they'll send you to prison. Obviously that's an extreme case, but you'll definitely get a criminal record, and if you get caught doing it again, or if you've got other issues that you've had with the police in the past, they'll send you to jail, no question. You get a criminal record for not paying the BBC, and that's just absolutely ridiculous, and that's the power that the BBC have got over people in UK. And you've got no choice as a consumer. It's like being forced to pay for Netflix. We should have a choice what we want to watch, and we should have a choice what we want to see, and we should have a choice who we want to pay for our viewing. So these people are being forced to pay for the BBC, and BBC can do whatever they want. They can report whatever they want. They can send out crappy programs, woke trash, and people have no say. People have no say. You just have to pay. And this is the only country in UK that this happens. No other country forces you to pay for a television channel. No other country. How stupid is that, guys? Seriously. Anyway, let's carry on. So today, guys, I'm going to go through some videos of some fake news. I'm going to be going through some examples of biased reporting, and I'm also going to show you some woke trash that's coming out of the BBC. So without further ado, guys, let's have a laugh, shall we? So first of all, I want to talk about this guy here. His name is Ken Macquarie. He's been hired by the BBC £325,000 a year to check whether the BBC is biased or not. As you can see, a senior BBC executive is being paid £325,000 a year to monitor whether the corporation is biased. Mail or Sunday can reveal. This is the guy here. You can see he's smiling all the way to the bank, because that's the easiest money he's ever going to get. Because has it worked? Is the BBC unbiased? No. BBC is the most worst biased news corporation out there. Seriously, easy money for him. Seriously, what the hell?
Of China after the BBC reported claims that women in so-called re-education camps for the Uyghur Muslim minority are being raped and tortured. The British and US governments are now calling on Beijing to allow independent investigators into the camps.
Okay, guys, so first of all, the Uyghur is spelled incorrectly. That's not how you spell Uyghur. And abuse, they're calling it abuse, but they're also calling it rape. So which one is it? Which one is it? Because rape and abuse is not the same thing. Okay, so let's carry on.
China has denied the allegations and accused the BBC of making a false report. Matthew Hill has spoken to several former detainees for his report, and you may find some of their accounts distressing.
So okay, guys, so this is one of the Uyghur women who is accusing China of rape while she's in a detention camp. So the first thing you notice is his laptop. And I don't know about you guys, but these laptops are not that cheap. That looks like a very expensive laptop, at least £1,000 or £2,000 worth. Not even a middle class in UK can afford that. So someone should be asking the question, very basic question, how the hell did she afford this laptop if she's a Uyghur minority? And secondly, who paid the money to afford luxurious goods like that? So you have to ask yourself, how can she afford things like that? So let's carry on, shall we?
Tazanai Zaiwudan is reliving a story she can barely bring herself to tell. She was held at one of Xinjiang's so-called re-education camps. These satellite
This is the evidence, guys. These satellite images shows the concentration camps. Oh my god, is that all they have to go on? I mean, from what it looks like, guys, this looks like a farm, and you can see the fields here. It just looks like a farm or something. Oh god.
Show the site where Tezanai says she was held, sharing a cell with 13 other women. She's haunted by one image: masked men coming down a camp corridor like this one after midnight.
They were 3 men. Not one, but 3.
Not one, but 3. Okay.
They did whatever evil their mind.
Look, guys, I've seen a lot of women in my life. I've seen a lot of women cry. I've seen a lot of women distressed in my life, but this does not look like a woman who's distressed or is crying. First of all, there's no tears coming out, and she just does not sound distressed enough. So if what she says has happened was true, she would have been a million times more distressed than she looks now. I mean, here's the thing, guys. Rape is a very serious allegation, whether it's made against a country or a person. If this was a court of law in the UK or any other Western country, if a woman makes a rape allegation, she gets questioned, her body gets searched, and she gets cross-examined, and the jury decides whether actually the events that she says really happened or didn't happen. They look at facts. So what's happening here? And they're just taking this woman's word for it, and who knows whether someone's paid her off. I mean, you can see the laptop there to make up this story. There's no facts, there's no evidence, and they're just already saying China is guilty based on one woman's account. I mean, has anyone even thought that this woman might be making it up? I mean, if you look at her facial reaction, you can see her. She's got no tears. She looks like she's making it up, or she's been forced to say things that she doesn't want to, because maybe they're saying that if you don't say as it is, we'll send you back to your country or something like that, because I think she's in America at the moment or something, and she's claiming to be a refugee and she wants to stay in America. So sometimes people will say whatever they want to say just to stay in America. So you got to kind of take everything into account before shouting rape. So let's carry on, shall we?
They were barbaric. They had beaten all over my body.
The US have granted her safe refuge after investigating her claims. She's waived her right to anonymity and now feels free to speak out about the full extent of the abuse she says she suffered.
They had an electric baton I didn't know what it was. It was pushed into my private parts and I was tormented with electric shocks.
It's estimated.
Okay, guys. So she claims she did not know what an electric baton was, and it got pushed into her private parts, and she was getting electric shocks. I mean, let's go back here. Does this look like someone who's had that experience? And I mean, look at her. She's got no tears. Can you? Because that sounds like a really disgusting thing to happen to a woman. But when you look at her face, it just the story doesn't match her face. It doesn't, she doesn't look distressed. For something like that to happen to a woman, she would look a million times more distressed than she looks now. Seriously. So let's carry on.
It's estimated over 1 million Uyghurs and other Muslims are held in the camps. These never-before-broadcast pictures were filmed secretly in a camp under construction and published by a magazine on religious Can
you believe this shit? So apparently these videos have been taken secretly of a camp that was being built. I mean, does this look like a camp, or does it look like a school or a college? I mean, seriously, guys, what kind of evidence is this? So let's look at the next story, shall we?
60 interviews. Where are they now? We hear one enduring question. Like thousands of Uyghurs, Muslims from China's western region of Xinjiang, Abdurrahman Toti now lives in Turkey. 3 years ago, his wife Perida took the children on a short trip back home to see the grandparents. He's heard nothing from them since. Then, earlier this year,
So okay guys, so let me tell you something. So this guy sent his wife and kids. He's from Turkey right now, and he sent his wife and kids by themselves to China, and then he says, then he talks about thousands of people are detained in China, thousands of people are in concentration camps. So if there is such a danger, why send your wife and kids alone to China? Or why not go with them? So does that sound right to you guys? Because it doesn't sound right to me. If I had a wife and child and I was in Turkey and I heard all these stories about people being detained in China, I would not send my wife and kids there by themselves. It's absolutely ridiculous. And does this guy look sad to you? Does it look like he's lost his wife and kids? Or how about this? Maybe he was an abusive husband and his wife and kids ran away to China to get away from him. Has anyone thought about that? The thing is, they're taking these stories face value from these people who, without any evidence, without cross-examining them, just taking their word for it. It's absolutely stupid and ridiculous. So let's carry on for a bit more. So okay guys, so let me tell you something. He says his child has been in China for 3 years. So as a father, wouldn't you go to China to look for him? Wouldn't you go to China and try and get him back? So what the hell is he doing? Doesn't sound like a good father to me. Seriously, if I had a child and gone missing in China for 3 years, I would get my ass to China and look for that child. Well, he's here safe in Turkey giving interviews. Seriously, it doesn't sound like a good father to me. It doesn't sound like he cares about his kid or his wife. Do people ask these questions? Seriously, it's just taking these stranger stories in face value. No evidence whatsoever. But people don't seem to ask these intelligent or common sense questions. So let's carry on, guys.
Giant new schools, many with huge dormitories.
Okay, they're showing these satellite images of schools with football stadiums, but does it actually look like a concentration camp to you? I mean, if it was a concentration camp, would you have a giant football field right next to you? Would you have? It's absolutely ridiculous, guys. Seriously, absolutely ridiculous.
Have been springing up almost as fast as the camps. This kindergarten, according to state media, has more than 1,000 children, some as young as 3. This one, another kindergarten, sleeps hundreds. And this is...
Where are they getting this information from? Can someone tell me? They're just showing a bunch of satellite images and making up these figures as they go along. Where's the evidence? Where are the kids?
Is what China calls a protection centre. More than 100 are being built. Together, they'll hold 10,000 children.
10,000 children? Bloody hell, that's a lot. So where are the kids anyway? Where are they?
The authorities seem to want to keep them hidden.
There's no kids because the authorities are trying to keep them hidden. So, shall we carry on, shall we?
The authorities seem to want to keep them hidden. We find one street blocked by the police. Reports say there's a school here for 2,000 children of detained.
So let's go back for a second. Reports are saying there's 2,000 children kept here. First of all, does this look like some sort of school with barbed wires everywhere? Secondly, if you look at the last shot and you can look at the current shot, do they look like this? Does they look like the same shot and the same day? It does not, because if you look at the clouds and the backgrounds, it looks like it's a very foggy or very, very polluted day. And while this one is a completely different day. So look at the colours and the brightness. They're just trying to fool people with different shots. And he says, oh, there's some sort of police blocking cars access and things like that. I mean, seriously, is this the kind of reporting that BBC is trying to fool people with? Okay, so let's go to the next part of this video, and next part of this video is called "Where Have My Children Gone?" So let's listen to this.
Do you know where your children are now?
Ballarım erkenliğine kampıda dedi, Mahmut kampıda dedi o. Bu bir kız.
In Turkey, a place to where so many Uyghurs have fled, we hear again and again of whole families being targeted back home by the Chinese authorities for almost any expression of Uyghur.
So let's talk about this for a second. Can someone tell me how these people are in Turkey without their kids? Can someone tell me, if you're fleeing a country, why would you flee a country without your children? Just makes no sense. If I was a good parent and my children were everything, am I going to leave them behind and just flee the country and leave them behind? Doesn't make any sense, does it? If you're going to flee to a country or run away to another country, you're just being selfish if you're just going to leave your children behind. This doesn't sound like a good parent to me. Seriously, just people are not asking these questions. So let's carry on, shall we?
Amina Wyatt runs a clothes shop, carving out a new life in Turkey. But she's without her stepdaughter.
Ben tuyuksuzmu şu 12. aylığa dayım aşkım 18 yıl ahırı bir günü ünlü demeden Facebook'ta tuyuksuz bu resmini görüp kaldım kızımınki. Karaplam tunu aldım.
So okay guys, so let's talk about this for a second. So apparently her stepdaughter is missing in China, and she saw a picture on Facebook and she recognized her immediately. So let me tell you something. Do these idiots not know that Facebook is banned in China? They're such fools, they're such idiots. They don't even know that Facebook is bloody banned in China. And this woman who claims to have a stepdaughter, saying she found this picture on Facebook. Can you believe this shit? And she goes, I recognized her immediately. He's not even her daughter, he's a stepdaughter. She recognized her immediately. It could be somebody else's child. These dumb shits. Oh my god, seriously. So let's carry on, shall we?
Buried deep on the Chinese internet, there's evidence to suggest there is now a deliberate policy to separate children from their roots.
I have uncovered very detailed evidence of how both students and...
So let me stop here, guys. Those of you who know Adrian Zenziz, there's stories about him all over the internet. This guy fabricates evidence, and they call it evidence, but nobody actually questions this guy. Nobody actually checks his evidence. Nobody actually checks his work. This guy is a fraud, and if this is the only evidence the BBC is going on, seriously, they need to seriously look at themselves. And any of you that want to Google his name, Dr. Adrian Zenz, if you want to Google his name and look at his work and what he stands for, you will see all of his work is just fabricated. So I'm not going to talk any more about him because there's plenty of videos on YouTube about it. So let's carry on, guys. Final stretch.
In the camps. So we decide to look for her. We find the family home locked and deserted. We call the village official. But he hangs up on us too.
Okay, guys, so look, first of all, I want to just go back to this. The iPhone looks like a shot. There's nothing going on in this iPhone, so that's a pure fabrication and a lie. And he's pretending to be calling someone. He's not calling anyone. Look, it's a completely blank. What does he think people are, stupid or something? And he's going around knocking people's doors and checking if they're home or not. Are you bloody stupid? It could be anybody's door. Are you having a laugh? And you call this evidence? Look at this.
On us too. Others also give us permission to search for their missing relatives. But we find only signs of a giant vanishing.
So they're taking a video camera and they're taking a video through little cracks of the door and stuff like that. Oh my god, and they call this BBC evidence, BBC reporting. Can you believe this shit? I've never seen anything worse, seriously. Even a child can do a better reporting job than this. So this report I was showing you, this bloody coward runs off to Taiwan after doing all this fake reporting. Apparently it's too risky to carry on. Damn right, if you're going to spread fake news and shit, a bloody coward after that runs off to Taiwan. Seriously, what a bloody coward. Rather than face up to criticism or face up to the officials asking him, what the F are you doing? He runs off like a coward. So this is the article that he wrote in the BBC, and it's still there in the BBC website. It's called China's Tainted Cotton. As you can see, John Sudworth, which is the reporter. And if you go down and you look at the evidence that he shows, again, there's no evidence. It comes up with facts and figures, numbers out of thin air, and it's coming up with these stupid construction sites and re-education camps, watchtower. Where's the watchtower? He's pointing to this building. I don't see no watchtower. Internal security walls. Seriously, they're just looking at these satellite images. Could be anything. Anything. Apparently this is a factory. I can put a cross around this and call this a factory. Oh my god. Can you see the kind of ridiculousness this is all is? This is a re-education camp factory. How do you know this is a re-education camp? Looking at this picture, how do you know this is a factory? If this is a factory, why is there a park here? If you got a factory, you don't have no parks right next to you. That looks like a recreational park or maybe some sort of flats or something. Have you ever seen a factory with a park like that next to it? It's ridiculous. Guys, this is just stupid. So I'm gonna stop here. So let's carry on with the next one.
We're turned back at checkpoints.
Okay.
Stopped from filming, questioned, and followed. This is one site we're trying to get to, a giant re-education camp. But more recently, something else has been built next door, a textile factory.
Oh, can you see what he's trying to do here? Let me go back a second. First of all, can you see the actual the way they filmed this is they're showing China to be really grey and bleak, but you know, it's just the filter they've used. They make it look like, oh, it's such a grey, miserable country. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's just I mean, look at this. He just drove past. These look like they look like some researchers, or they just come out of a lab or something. What? And he's calling these re-education camp guards. It's just ridiculous, guys. Absolutely ridiculous. Apparently he's been followed here as well. But that could be any car. And these buildings are apparently re-education camps. I mean, how does he know? It's really, really stupid. So let's listen to the next bit.
Days after its completion, a large group of people can be seen being moved between the camp and the factory.
Days after it was being completed, a big group of people was seen being moved. So where's the evidence then? Where? Have you taken a camera? Have you filmed it? He's just making shit up.
Wow, and this is the factory here.
Oh my god, guys. Can you see the kind of shit? There's no evidence whatsoever. They're just making up shit. He's just driving up and down China, picking up images from the satellite sat-nav, and that's all it is. That's all it is. It's not reporting, guys. This is just one-sided bias, trying to put China in a bad light, trying to make up stories about rape of Uyghur women, forced labor, concentration camps, children being detained. It's just all fake. There's no evidence. There's no, that's all it is. It's just him driving around China, trying to make up fake stories. And this is the guy. This guy's been living in China for 9 bloody years. Seriously, and this is the best he can come with. I am absolutely embarrassed for him. Absolutely embarrassed for BBC. Absolutely embarrassed for the rest of UK after seeing this. I want to also share with you guys an interview with Jeffrey Sachs. He's an SDG advocate for United Nations, and also he's been a professor for various famous American institutions, including Harvard, etc. So I want to kind of share with you one of his interviews that he did recently.
Critical of China's actions on human rights, but engaging on climate change. Do you see that as a strategy that can actually work?
I'm not sure why BBC started with listing only China's human rights abuses. What about America's human rights abuses? The Iraq War, together with the UK, completely illegal and under false pretenses. The war in Syria, the war in Libya, the continued sanctions against civilian populations in Venezuela and Iran, walking away from the Paris Climate Agreement for the last 4 years, unilateral trade actions that have been deemed illegal by WTO. So one can make anything one wants, but we have really serious human rights violations by the United States abroad, not to mention an insurrection on January 6th in our own country, not to mention the continued massive racism, white supremacism, and abuse of incarceration of hundreds of thousands of people in the U.S., Black, African American, people of color. So I think that the whole premise of this story is a little bit odd.
No, but sorry.
So kudos for Jeffrey Sachs for calling out the BBC live on air, and that must have really, really embarrassed them. But I also want to share this with you guys as well. This is an interview with Martin Jacks about BBC as well.
The BBC's coverage of COVID-19 from the very outset has been extraordinarily biased against China. I mean, the BBC was not necessarily the worst offender, but definitely one of the biggest offenders in the UK coverage of what was happening in China during the course of January and onwards. And the attack was scurrilous, really. It was to say that there was a cover-up, that it was, secret, that the virus had been going on for much longer, and so on. And this was a huge story during the course of January. And actually, of course, we know now that, well, first of all, that China was struggling to understand this virus. I mean, China was right on the front line. Everyone else had the advantage of China being the first. China had the disadvantage of being the first. And it was struggling to understand it. But once China understood it, from late in 21st of January, lockdown Wuhan, took strong measures in Hubei province and so on, then the Chinese response to the virus was extraordinary, brilliant. And 2 months later, finally the virus, which I suppose Westerners thought would never spread to Europe and the West, it started in Europe, and then by and large, the Western media and the BBC went pretty quiet on China, because actually China's performance completely showed up what was happening in the West, and the inadequacy and incompetence of the approach. So, do we take the BBC's coverage of China on COVID seriously? No, I don't take it seriously, to be frank with you. I think they had an agenda, and they just pursued that agenda. And the agenda was a Cold War agenda to darken the name of China, to portray China as not interested in human life, and this authoritarian country and so on. I mean, absolutely disgraceful. Not a breath of objectivity in its coverage.
So I want to show you a final clip, guys. This is another piece of biased reporting by the BBC. It's not just talking about China, but also Palestine as well.
12 people, including 61 children, have died in Gaza. 12 people, including 2 children, have been killed in Israel.
Can you see the difference there, guys? 12 people, including 2 children, have been killed in Israel. But when she comes to talk about Palestinians, 12 people, including 61 children, have died in Gaza. Can you see the difference? People are being killed on both sides, and she's talking about Israelis being killed, but the people in Gaza are just dead. They have died. Saying someone has died in Gaza could be a number of things. You could have died of disease, you could have died of COVID, you could have died of being run over a bus, but they don't mention that people are being killed by bombs being thrown by Israel or things like that. See the bias that BBC is doing. It's not just against China, it's against Palestinians. Anything that goes against their narrative, anything the government is against. So as a summary, guys, I just want to say I'm absolutely embarrassed by the BBC, absolutely embarrassed that they are British Broadcasting Corporation. I am absolutely embarrassed to be a British citizen, to be a part of this, and I'm absolutely embarrassed for all of these people that are forced to pay for this crap. seriously, this is the worst case of fake news, fake reporting. They are reporting stuff with no evidence, and they are purposely picking on China, whether it's COVID, whether it's forced labor, whether it's concentration camps, whether it's human rights, whether it's rape of women. They're just coming up with one story after the next, and it just gets more and more ridiculous with each one. It's almost like they've got an agenda to pick on China, and that's what they're doing. They're just finding these silly stories, silly fake news, fake media, and they're just feeding this crap to British people. And I'm absolutely sick of it, and I'm just gobsmacked by all of this information that the BBC has been providing with no... and this isn't journalism, guys. This is not journalism. This is no evidence. This is no journalism where you look at both sides of the story and you let the audience decide. This is pure picking on China with fake news. I don't see any evidence, do you? I don't see anything. And then you got the John Sudworth guy. I mean, seriously, let's look at him again. John Sudworth, you're an absolute embarrassment to the BBC, you're an absolute embarrassment to the UK, you're an absolute embarrassment to your race, you're an absolute embarrassment to your face. You are just a plain idiot. I'm sorry to say, you just are. And apart from that, I'm sure you're a nice guy, which I just don't think you are, to be honest.